So continuing our focus on the awareness about the Ebola virus threat, disease actually. Well, Dr. Wale Ahmed joins us now. He's the Commissioner for Special Duties in Lagos. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Good morning.
Well, what transpired, even though the nurse, we understand, is now back in Lagos, but it did raise a lot of concern because there are people now who are under watch, quarantine perhaps, in Enugu. And one wonders, is it that there isn't enough watch over those who are said to be under surveillance in the state, and how did they eventually escape the news?
Well, I don't think we should start this discussion with controversial issues like that. I think we should see it as an opportunity to educate the public.
It's just part of education because people are worried.
And in particular to, put certain things across because panic seems to be developing, and a lot of people have all sorts of false beliefs. There are all sorts of gists in town. It is this, it is that, don't do this, don't do that. I'll show you something that I brought here deliberately. If you look at the front pages of The Nation and Punch newspapers of yesterday, Nigerians coming back from abroad, at the airport with their luggage, wearing face mask. Definitely, face mask doesn't have anything to do with Ebola because it is not transmitted through the air. These people wearing face masks is because, that's what they think can protect them. So really, our primary responsibility is to let people know, first of all, the mode of transmission, that you cannot get this thing through the air by staying close to somebody who has it and breathing across each other and all that.
Dr. Ahmed, we will definitely come to education,
yes.
Definitely. But, it's very important that we also, update people in terms of the news. This was in the news. This patient was said to have escaped from Lagos, to Enugu, even though we understand that she's back in Lagos now. And now, as a result of that, 21 extra people are under surveillance. We just want to get what we might say is, extra information as to how that happened. Are we also keeping a tight watch on those who have this so that we ensure that they're not spreading this disease in any way?
The patient that escaped was not under the direct care of the government. The people we were keeping in isolation at Infectious Disease Hospital in Lagos.
Okay.
It's a tightly controlled environment. We have beefed up security. We have even moved out the isolation ward that was purpose-built for isolation for MDR tuberculosis, that's multi-drug resistant tuberculosis. All the foreign agencies, W.H.O, UNICEF, and MSF, that's Médecins Sans Frontières, Doctors Without Borders, people who know about these things, who have handled it in Liberia and Guinea, they were around and they told us what to do. And they looked at the isolation ward at the Yaba Infectious Disease Hospital. And they have told us the amendments to make tightly controlled environment. Nobody could have escaped from there. That's why I was trying to say that issue of how somebody escaped, and escaped back, whether it is like that, whether it is not, for me, that is not the primary issue here. Of course, when something like this happens, all sorts of issues will arise. But what I am interested in, if you gentlemen...
And we'll definitely have time. We know what you're interested in. We'll have time for that. But then again, we also have to ask, you say that this patient was not at the IDH. Are you saying then that there are other patients who could have, or there are cases that have been confirmed with Ebola and are not in the IDH?
There was an incident at the NMPC hospital that was closed down. There was such an incident. So what I'm saying is...
Was that the incident?
No, not necessarily. I'm just telling you that if somebody escaped, somehow, it's a new thing that we are grappling with. We are trying to build...
Are you hiding something from us?
No, nothing. I'm here to bring forth...
Light.
Yes, I'm here to shed light on whatever is happening presently.
Okay.
It's just that...
What is happening now?
That's what I'm trying to
with
say.
Lagos State's handling of this Ebola matter.
Yet first of all, there have been some missed opportunities. I think that's where we are now. And also, like at the airport, when demand went down and came down suddenly with the disease, people at the airport, if the port health facility was working properly, that man should not have left the airport in the first place. But since that had happened, we thank God the authorities at the hospital where he presented, they were good enough to even inform us. If they did not inform us, that man would have died and they would have called it death from an unknown cause.
That's the hospital in Abalinde?
Yes. That late Dr. Sawyer would have just died like that and the thing would have been spreading around. So, first of all, we have to thank God that they informed us. And we moved in immediately. Some of the facilities we have been preparing for eventualities were the facilities we just opened up to take them in. And now we're asking for volunteers. There are people, Nigerians, doctors, who are working and other health officers who have volunteered. There are people from W.H.O, as I said. There are people from UNICEF. There are Doctors Without Borders who are telling us, who have experience, who are telling us how to do these things.
What facilities? You say some of the facilities you have been prepared. You prepared for eventualities. Now, what are these facilities besides this isolation ward that you had to evacuate the tuberculosis patients?
That one is there to get it ready for this kind of thing. Then we are building another structure.
You're building?
Yes. We had already made a slab so that you could easily erect a temporary structure within days. And that is ready now.
Okay. There are over 100 people that are under surveillance in Lagos.
Yeah.
Who is monitoring these people?
There are about 5 different committees. There is a contact tracing committee. There is a whole committee that is their responsibility. And that is how we are able to tell you presently we have almost 200 people, both primary and secondary contacts that we are following. Primary contacts are put under quarantine.
Okay, in monitoring these people, are they being restrained from getting into contact with some other people, or they're just allowed to go about their normal business?
Primary contacts are quarantined.
You've quarantined. How many are they?
Primary and secondary contacts, they are about 200 now. The secondary contacts are just put under observation. There are people who watch over them. They give them thermometer to watch for spike in temperature so that they can be easily, because you can't put everybody, both people that are exhibiting signs and symptoms of the disease and people who are still more or less normal, put everybody together. Let me say this at this juncture. The reason why we cannot lump everybody together is that this infection cannot be transmitted by somebody who has not come down with the disease. All you gentlemen and ladies here can't, even if you have it in your blood, you
Don't bother.
You can't give it to another person. It can only be transmitted by somebody who is visibly sick. So, to put it in another way, it cannot be transmitted during its incubation period. The incubation period is between 2 and 21 days. And that is the period where the person has the virus inside him or her, but is not exhibiting symptoms. Let me also say this. That means it does not have a carrier state. So you can't say somebody is carrying this disease.
In monitoring these people, you say thermometers are given to them so that they can report. Is it to report anytime there's a spike in temperature and all of that?
Yes, there are health workers that are also joining in doing that. There are people who pay visit to their homes every day. Every day.
Are they also educated as regards when this happens, who should they contact and how should they move from there?
We are using people who are already educated. Some of the people who came from abroad and some of the experienced people here are training other Nigerians presently, because people from MSF and WHO and UNICEF and the rest will go back eventually. So it is those of us here that will be doing the job. So they are helping to train. They are helping to design some of the other structures that we may not have on ground presently that we need to have, like the one that is ready in mainland hospital now. We are replicating it because one of the recommendations they gave us is that whatever facility we are going to build for Ebola patients has to be situated within the premises of an existing hospital. So we are replicating it in one other general hospital that has a large expanse of land at an out-of-town place. I don't necessarily have to mention that now.